Hi, everyone. It's Janet Allen here, and I am coming to you from my actual house here in Ridgewood Park, Dallas, and I'm with Scott Rooker, our residential counsel at Republic Title. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in this very new environment that we have, what's happening in your business, and how you are being supported with addenda for your contracts. And I'm going to ask Scott a few questions that I'm hoping will help you understand what's going on with your new contracts and with your existing contracts. Scott, welcome. Glad to see you today.
Oh, good to be seen.
Yes, it is good to be seen, isn't it? First of all, I think most of you know by now that title insurance and title companies are an essential business, thankfully for you, thankfully for us, that we are open and we are doing business regularly. Just a few little changes here and there, but we are open for business. And as you also know, just a few weeks ago, real estate in Dallas County, and I think in Collin County, it's been this way since all this started, is also now known as an essential business. So with all that being said, like I said, we want to come to you today and hopefully give you some guidance along the way. Scott, what have you been hearing? Do you have a question for me?
Well, I do. To start off, happy to serve your residential needs. But can you tell us a little bit more about how we at Republic Title are taking care of our offices for closing?
Absolutely. Well, as you see all over the news and in every place that we look, we're trying to stay safe. And so we want to keep our customers safe. We want to keep our employees safe. And so one of the things of the many things that we've been doing is we started out basically having our offices disinfected, professionally disinfected every single week by a company that does this for hospitals to make the offices themselves safe and clean. We also have been offering curbside closings so that people that are fearful of coming into the office and coming into contact with anybody but their family can know that we'll come out to your car, or our closers will come out to your car and actually close a transaction there. That works. That's been working amazingly well and has been received really well. So what happens with that is they email the documents to the buyers and sellers, tell them which signatures they're going to need. They give them a chance to read over them. They go out, they make their signatures, they snap a picture with of their driver's license, they notarize, and they're off and running. So really just keeping the offices safe and clean after every single closing. People get to keep their own pen. So we've been giving away pens for a long time, Scott, as you know, but we're really giving them away these days.
Right.
So those are just a few of the ways that we're doing that. And it's been working very, very well. We actually had a tremendous March, and we're going to have a tremendous April too. So we're very, very thankful for that.
It's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right. So now I have some questions for you, and they are related to the contract, as people might be aware. And so the first question is there a provision in the 1-to-4 earnest money contract, 1-to-4 family earnest money contract that covers termination due to a pandemic or to COVID-19? I doubt COVID-19 is in there, but is there a provision for termination for this?
No, there's not a provision that covers a pandemic. We received a lot of inquiries asking about paragraph 14 of the TREC 1-to-4 contract, and if that paragraph covers the current pandemic situation, and the answer is no. Paragraph 14 contemplates, storm or fire-related damage to the property, not a pandemic. So if a client had a specific question with regard to what is a casualty loss, they would need to seek their own legal advice.
Okay, so that does not surprise me, but it also wouldn't surprise me that the broker-lawyer committee might be making some changes to the contract in the future to cover pandemics. always set a precedent. All right, so most people know, but in case you didn't, there actually is a COVID-19 addendum that was promulgated by the Texas Association of Realtors. And so can you give us some highlights on that new addendum?
Sure. In short, the COVID-19 addendum outlines certain contingency plans to either extend the closing date or to terminate the contract. So if it appears that the closing date's not feasible because of a voluntary or a mandatory quarantine, or there's an actual closure of a business that affects the closing, the parties can extend the closing date for a period of 30 days.
30 days, that's it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So a few more questions on the COVID-19 addendum. Can it be attached to existing contracts, or does it only apply to new contracts?
It's a great question. The COVID-19 addendum can be added to an existing contract as well as to a new contract. A party, however, cannot unilaterally add the amendment. So both parties are going to have to agree and execute the addendum.
All right, buyer and seller have to agree to use the addendum. I wonder how that's been working out. One other question, I think I've got a couple more actually. Does the 30-day extension for closing in the COVID-19 addendum relate to the other deadlines in the contract?
No, the other critical dates are still in effect unless they are also amended by the parties. So the COVID-19 addendum only changes the closing date in paragraph 9 of the contract.
All right, well, I'm gonna then ask you about that third-party financing addendum. How does that work? If the buyer is past his approval period and all those other dates that are involved in the third-party financing addendum?
Yeah, it's another really good question. And if there is a COVID-19 addendum to that contract, along with that third-party financing addendum, the buyer's loss of income, if it's due to the COVID-19 related issues, then either party, seller or buyer, may terminate the contract and the earnest money will be refunded to the buyer.
Oh, fantastic. The earnest money does go back to the buyer, provided we have a unilateral signature on the COVID-19 addendum and their job loss and the fact that they cannot get financing has to do with losing their job due to COVID-19. Did I hear that? Okay.
Right. It's not, again, it can't be unilateral. It's got to be both parties sign that addendum. And then if it triggers and there's this job loss due to COVID-19 related issues, really unfortunate right now, then the buyer can terminate and receive their earnest money back.
That's great. That's great news for buyers. Should that be happening? I hate it, but I think that's really great news. And so a couple more questions. We're in an environment now where we really weren't. It's been changing, really daily. But now that real estate is an essential business and people can actually show property, and I think brokerages have all of their own kind of rules, but basically gloves, masks, wiping down, etc. So what if you are showing a property, what if you're a seller and the seller or someone in your family has tested positive for COVID-19? Does that need to be disclosed?
Surprisingly, yes. Section 9 of the seller's disclosure notice asks if the seller is aware of any condition on the property which may materially affect the health or safety of an individual. So testing positive for COVID-19 is most certainly a condition on the property because of the contagiousness.
Easy for you to say.
For anybody to say. Because of the contagiousness of the virus and the fact that it can live on surfaces, now we know, perhaps for days. And if somebody's coming through the house, that could certainly materially affect the health of an individual.
So they'll have to go ahead and revise their seller's disclosure notice should that happen. Correct. Obviously, because if the house is listed pre-COVID, that's not going to be disclosed. So they'll have to go and revise that seller's disclosure. Makes sense to me. Now, and so on that same track with regards to the homes that are being sold, do these property, can buyer demand that that the seller deep clean and sanitize the house?
Yes. TREC 1 to 4, the TREC 1 to 4 contract in paragraph 7D2 states the buyer accepts the property as is, provided seller, at seller's expense, shall complete the following specific repairs and treatments. And then it has a blank. That blank gives the buyer an opportunity to make a demand on the seller to deep clean and sanitize the house.
Well, Scott, we appreciate you. And guys, please call us if we can help you. We really appreciate your business. We want everyone to stay safe and healthy, and we will see you on the other side of this. Thanks so much. Have a great day.